الشيش أيا هاتي اشتكت يوهان وصاخ تو يك أيا يكي يوا أتاتي تخت تنقيا يا يكي كختقوهين أيا يدو ساق أيا تلخ ندايهين كي هنقوي تليدهين وخأخ كتقوهين يختقتي إتوه يأوي قشي سكو يا دختهين وتتلق يجي أيا داخوي ودا خيان وشا يقيس قش كنا خوي داق ودا كليي وتيويتا وصدو ساق يا دقوا أكتخت وقاك إتو قش كختك قتكوتا يا ويتا يوا أختو السكو قوا أكادو وقا يوا أختو السكو إتو كودو وقا يتسو يوا وانقنين قد خلقك تاسخت والسكو يخوقاي الواساق خوا يا يوا هشوق يدي تقدزتي يجي هجويش تكتي خايا هسلو وقوق جنكاتوي تكتاكو يا يجي يكي خاوي يوهان قلت شيش يدكك ونكتلي القاقيناخ يا يدت. Great to see everybody. Thanks for coming. I was thinking today about this river. It's called Kachtaqouhin. The verb is kawaku. And kawaku means for water to settle and be clear. So especially if you went to a river that came from a glacier and you had like a clear container and you just scooped some of the water out and just set it down. You'd see all these sediments and stuff all over the place. And if you just let it sit for a long time, really still, all those settlements would go down and the water would become clear. So the name of this river, it's right over this way. I guess it's in the Juneau area. It runs to another river called Dultóow, which is a big river. Kachtaqouhin is not a very big river. And so a lot of times translated as the river that runs itself clean, whereas Dultóow would be the opposite. So that's a big churning river, and that's runs itself murky or silty. And I was thinking about this because one time an elder named Kehinako said to us, let your spirit be like still water that has run itself clear. So that's my hope for you today. And then I was trying to say, like, every day, twice a day, tide comes in, tide goes out. When the tide comes in and then it holds itself, there you get a slack tide. Wuduwaka. I couldn't remember how to say that for some reason. And I even remembered it wrong. Wuduwaka means a slack tide. And so you can also say, Achtuwa wuduwaka. I'm feeling at peace. So you like still water. There's something about still water that's really good in the Tlingit way of thinking. So I wanted to share those thoughts. It's our oldest kid's birthday, so it's chaos in here. They just run all over. It's just the three of them. They're going nuts, which they should. It's fun. And we're just making all kinds of food and having fun with them. I might duck out a little early so we can take them to the park or something. But it's great to see everybody. I'll turn it over to Ida, see if she has anything she wants to share as we sort of get started. I like to just like share some language when we first get started. And then always feel free to respond. If you want to respond in Tlingit, that'd be great. I guess maybe what we'll start is maybe by Thursday, is I'll just say some stuff in Tlingit. If anybody wants to respond in Tlingit, I'll just pause before I start translating. Um, and then we'll go over like kind of the schedule today as well, what we have proposed for you folks. Ida idroha.
Atling cheese the cut Johan. Ach tu yak e we gagan. Juno yati. Sunny and Juno. Pretty excited about that. Also would like to be in the sun, but also happy to see you folks here. The sun will eventually come into my apartment. Yeah, so just happy to be here, excited to sort of jump into more Tlingit today. Other than that, that's all I got. I know that we have some new folks. We met our cap today, so we've got 40 folks registered and we've got more folks trying to register. So I'm really excited that so many of you are here and interested and ready to learn, and that we have even more folks that we can show the university and show our community, that people sort of across Southeast, across the border, across the lower 48 are all really interested in helping us keep learning and speaking Tlingit. So I'm going to chase the cut Johan. Couldn't do it without you. Folks are amazing. Cheesh.
Okay, so let's see, what were the things we were asking folks yesterday? So we did an introduction, and you talked about what you hope to gain, what you hope to contribute. I could copy and paste this, I'm trying to remember. What your level is, just self-identifying. If you're anti-level, you could be anti-level, it's totally fine. We generally have beginners, intermediate, advanced, just and sheesh. And then one thing you hope to overcome and something that inspires you. So if you did not have a chance to share yesterday, we want to give folks a chance to introduce yourself to the group. And it's not a performance. You're never performing here. It's not like you're stepping onto some stage. I will share with you folks. I think this was probably in 2002 or 2003. So I've been studying Tlingit for quite a while. I started in 1997, or no, 1996 with my grandfather. And so I've been studying for about 5 or 6 years by this point. And we're at a house dedication for Sheet Kakwan Nakahiti. And the place was packed, lots of people. And it's, go back 20 years ago, there were lots of Tlingit speakers back then. And Walter Sobolov was giving a talk. It was amazing. He's got a nachain, chill cap blanket. He's got teach tzach. He's got the dog salmon hat on. There's a whole row of clan leaders right next, up on the other side of the stage. And they start going through the crowd and just sort of picking some people, saying, we want you to respond. And they came and they asked me, they said, we want you to give a response. I said, okay. And I started thinking all these things I'm going to say, right? I'm like, okay, I better say this thing. I'm going to get it. I'll say Shawu Deneki, and then I think I'm going to say Anyat Kasani. And I'd been studying for about 5 years at this point. Right? And so I had this, I wrote a little script in my mind. I was just watching a video today of Nora Downhauer saying, you're not supposed to write it down. You're not supposed to go up there with notes. It's not supposed to be written on your arm or your hand. You're supposed to just do the thing. And so I stood up. And all my words were gone. They were just gone. I looked at Walter sitting there, looking like a king. And I look out and I just see this big crowd of just faces looking at me. I see these clan leaders over there looking at me. I just forgot everything. So I went back to the basics. I said, forgive me, everyone. I'm learning Tlingit. To Ish, Herman Davis was one of the clan leaders sitting over there. And he just belted it out. It will be. And I was fine. And I was okay. I said some things. I don't know what I said at that point. But whenever you're always encouraged to try here. Anytime when you're stepping up and you're trying, and especially if you're just gonna even say anything in Tlingit, it takes a lot of courage. But there's no performing here. We're not trying to be the best here. It's okay if it doesn't come out right, because there might be some big cultural event where you do have to do the thing, and you want to have good practice here. Like, oh man, I'm glad I fell apart in class because I don't want to fall apart at a funeral or at a house dedication. It's okay if you mess it up in here. That's what we're here for, to learn. So however you want to introduce yourself, and then just share a few things with us so we can get to know each other. This does help us as both those of us who've been in these types of workshops and those of us who are coordinating it to think of what kinds of things to do next based on like what Nora would call the great group. So if you didn't get a chance to tell us a little bit about yourself, please do. Sheesh.
So I have a list of folks who were here yesterday that didn't get to go. Got a few folks that I know didn't get to go, but we want to give you guys the opportunity to volunteer first if you'd like to. Tell us a little bit about yourself, follow the format we did yesterday. Like Renee was saying, helps us get to know you in this very large Zoom room.
Hello, my name is Mary Baumgartner. I am a Wishkitan. Let's see, my name is Qasatin Shachtak. What I hope to gain is this is the beginning of like an official formal training for the language. Other than that, it's just been like looking up words and listening to my elders and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to get on the path to be fluent so that I can teach. I've got 4 girls that I want to teach, and I work with the Head Start, so I want to spread our culture and our language as far as I can. I'm not sure what I can contribute. One thing I hope to overcome is being more consistent with studying the language. Sometimes I have big spurts where I learn a whole bunch, and then I just get distracted by something. Something that inspires me is my grandma. Her name is Mary Guthrie, and she's the culture bearer for the Ganachari for our family. And so just watching her in action, watching her teach other people and the knowledge that she possesses now, it's inspired me my whole life.
Okay, sheesh. Hainki niki.
Michael, do you want to go?
Sure. Michael Kramer, Ayachsi, Washington Kwan, Khat City. Columbus, Yé Yeti. Hi, I'm Michael Kramer. I am currently in Columbus, Ohio. So I guess in terms of a little bit more of introduction, I'm a PhD student at Ohio State, mainly studying Russian history of the North Pacific and in Alaska. I'm actually coming to Fairbanks and Sitka in the summer, and the reason why I'm here is I felt like it's really important to try to learn the language of the place where I'm going to be, and sort of expand my broader knowledge. So I guess what I hope to gain, I'm a complete beginner in Tlingit, so I mean, I just any knowledge, I hope to just listen and to kind of learn as much as I can. I unfortunately don't feel like I can contribute too much. I hope by the end of 3 weeks, maybe I can try to contribute something beyond just curiosity and enthusiasm. One thing I want to overcome is I have kind of social anxiety about speaking new languages, and so I hope to overcome that, especially in small groups. And then something that inspires me, and this might be a little bit trite, but just this community of incredibly enthusiastic and language learners. I'm just really, really inspired by that, and very thankful for being here. Gunashtish.
Like echa, and cheese.
Sheesh. Virginia, did you want to go?
Yak Gunashtish ida Chataya Chwantlain Yachatu Asak. Hello, Heather. My name is Virginia or Chwantlain. Virginia Oliver Yachatu Asak. So I'd like to Kachenach. Kachchanak. Yayati, or I'm here in Wrangell. Gunashtish Takatyuhan Yakasatini, all of you. The things you asked were where I was, what I hope to gain. Achtuasigu Hatlingatyuch Atangi Hat Lisko Hasayuch Adangi. Contribute, being here and being part of the group of language learners, and teaching what I know. I find that my level is teaching beginning Tlingit. I'm really appreciative of what's been going on. Shtuch gach shtucha chadati way intermediate Tlingit classes for adding to my nouns, beginning Tlingit phrases, Yak'etutat Chataya, Chwantlain Yachatuasak, Yaki. Today we'll be doing questions and answers, and then being able to put them to the high school students to do. I really appreciate that. Ganachish. I hope to overcome, and I think I'm doing a little bit better, because when I first started, every time I'd go to talk, I would cry. I was born in the 50s, and so it was really hard in Wrangell to be Tlingit. And I hope to overcome that. I'm doing a lot better, gosh darn it. Do something about that. So, standing up and being able to have a voice has been very empowering to me. And my inspirations, and I could just start the list, and Chakiish, Kanaisk, Kashanugatla, Achtla, Sayi, Kak, I can't say his name. It's a hard name to say. He's an eagle who's full and his wings are down and he's sitting on a branch. I can't remember the name. It starts with the L though. And Morgan Joseph, my uncle. And inspiration, Robbie Littlefield and Ethel McKinnon. When I took my first college Tlingit class, I remembered who I was. And then after that, we took classes with Nora and Dick and Walter Sobeloff. And then after that, we took classes with, I had a whole list of them last night. There was like about 10 of you guys. Hans, and then Dick and Nora and Carrie Edwards at the time, Eggleston and Lance. I finally got to do some classes with Lance in the last few years. So I really appreciate that. A big inspiration, all the teachers. And if I'm off for a little while, I have to read Baby Raven reads about all around the blueberry bush. I was trying to think of a Tlingit song for that one. It's supposed to go for Pop Goes the Weasel. All around the blueberry bush, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay.
What's da? I guess then a good way da. Kanada was da yan a good way da. Or probably da is gonna keep going around. What is the pop part? Is that when it gets like, does it get killed or something? Is that what that song means?
I'm
all
not
these
sure. And then I neglected to say that I learned a lot from Kashka and Satuk and Yana 8. I learned quite a bit from Check and the Tlingit Nerds Forever, and Alice Taft, Jock, all of them. And whenever we find a song, we always make Tlingit words up to it. So this is another one I'm thinking about, a Barry song. So gonna cheesh.
Hey. How it was the monkey chased the weasel, right? And then Pop, does that mean it got like chomped or something?
Probably.
Like, this little pig went to market, like it wasn't shopping, right? Like it was. Okay. Go get butchered up, turned into bacon.
These are the words that they want me to sing tonight. All around the blueberry bush, we picked some juicy berries. We brought some home and washed them off. Pop go the berries. That's the song. So I'm like, what? Okay.
It's the remix.
Kashlihini tlek would be juicy berries. The popping part might be a little tricky. Probably gonna be like kashatak. I'll see what I can find. Okay. Atisa itch.
Maybe since Kushkek was mentioned, if she wants to go.
Oh, yadu khat. It's a gusu yahai. Camera gone. Oh, yadu jadi khat na u. Oh, klashkosa ka wasa yegach kukwadane we camera team. Shaya dehain ku computer ya kau ka klashkosa team we video button. Jadi khat na u stakat Johan ku she ka we you khat do a sak. Sheet kak ye khat yati. Ku atlatiu khat city. Dog un awe ach yatki. Nazk yet Victor Dan Edward ka tlake awe ach si Cassandra Aunt ak awe Victor duasak talk ko isha Dan ye duasak ka Edward Shakindis too ye duasak Achsi Kua Slak Duu Yé Duasak Slucked Slucked Bentwood box owner Slucked Clock Yewed Dusai City. Te du shojin ka kanes kadgu shuk takwawe katagu. Fairbanks awe kechat wuwat. Kusa at ani awe. Sheet kuk. Oh, katkatsewa wasa duasak to move or migrate. Isikuke?
Wuchagaz.
Oh yeah. Fairbanks Dach Sheet Ka De Chwasligas 1970. John Littlefield, Yudu Sagun. Banana Belt, Daya Sheet Ka Achawe Tlesach Tua Ushku Fairbanks Ani It Kunach Siat Kunach Kusiat. Gonna chish a chait yisa achi. Questions, other questions? Hope to gain. I hope to become quicker at understanding when I hear Tlingit language. I hope to contribute occasionally. I wish that I could share how we pronounce things in Sitka, because I started learning the language just as a spoken language. I didn't know how to read or write, and I just learned with my ears. I think I can hear the rhythm and the flow of the Tlingit language instinctively, and then I learned to read and write, and I began to realize that there's a lot more to it. And then I worked with Dostia Ethel Makinen for probably 40 years. She'll be 90 this year. So I hope to contribute pronunciation, perhaps, or language flow. I'm not super good at it, but when I hear it, it sounds right or it doesn't sound right, which is kind of cool. I don't have to depend on the writing system. I've listened to the language long enough that that the rhythm and the cadence and the melody of the language sounds right or it doesn't sound right. By not being right, I mean there's an English accent embedded in it. So that's what I hear sometimes from beginners. I talked to what's her name from Juneau, not Juneau, Anchorage. She was on our mass mega Zooms last year.
Shirley Kendall?
Shirley. So I went to visit her high school class when I was there about 15 years ago, and she was talking about how we were talking about accents and how different communities have different ways of saying things and different tones sometimes. And she said, and you know what? I've been hearing a new accent in town. And I looked at her and I kind of knew what she was going to say. She said, it's the college students. They have a college student accent because they haven't heard the spoken language enough for it to sound flowing. And so they've just learned to read, and their words are choppy, and notice the tone marks and use the tone marks to help them sound more fluent. And so that's what she said. She said there's a new accent in town. It's the college students. So the reason I mention that at all is because I want to encourage everybody that then this is also what I can contribute, the importance of listening to the fluent speakers. Listen to recordings of fluent speakers, even if you don't understand. Just listening to the flow of the language, the melody of it, and how the words fit together in a sentence. And if you can get a hold of recordings, and I know that René has a ton of them available to you on his website. Take advantage of that. And even if you don't listen to different recordings, if you listen to the same recording over and over and over again, you start to get comfortable with the language, and you just start to feel like it's inside you. Things I need to overcome is talking too much, and also I get really, really nervous when it comes time to introduce myself. So I heard somebody earlier said, you're you have an aversion to speaking in the language or introducing yourself. Well, you're not alone. I think everybody has that feeling of nervousness. So just practice just a couple of sentences, and don't try to keep up with anybody. Just do what you're comfortable with. And yeah, something that inspires me. Well, René inspires me. I I worship his ability to use verbs and translate from past, present, future, conditional. It's really cool. And I'm really grateful that we have him for a resource, because we have so few fluent speakers left, and we've all got to step up and carry a little bit of the language in our heart.
Ac echa gilchis clénoi e tilla an
Oh,
I took Saeed I pile it right before class. I throw everything in a big pile, and it just fell over. It's all back here piled up. I'm like, oh, class time. So I push it over there. And it just came a paper avalanche.
Chatsu Achana way desk. I try and be in front of his mess.
Oh, yeah, this is probably someone else's mess.
Yeah, that definitely not yours.
Kids, they just don't take care of their paperwork. Who wants to go next? If anyone hasn't had a chance to share, would love to see your face if we can, hear your words if we can.
I can just start going down the list of who we haven't heard from.
I can go.
Okay.
I'll jump in. So goodness, Chish, for this opportunity. I'm super excited. And my name is Jay Crapella. I live in Gustavus. And I'm a super beginner. And as a beginner, I think because this is my home, I'm inspired. What I want to gain is just to, deepen my sense of this being my home. And also, just continue to open to the Tlingit culture, but especially just feel my own, that of course, and just feeling like this is my home. So as I said, I'm a very beginner, and I want to gain what I would like to gain is more of a flow, not for the language itself, because that's kind of down the road, but I'm beginning to be able to make the sounds. I understand the sounds and how to make them, but how do I make them, how do I make the word? It's hard to, sometimes it's, hard to get that flow just in a word itself. So I'm looking forward to that. And I am inspired by everyone who is a learner, and I'm inspired by all the resources. As the last speaker said, there's just a ton of resources, and I'm delving into that, and it's wonderful. And I'm just really enjoying, I feel like the language is starting to percolate inside of me. I can walk outside and address the plants that I love, and, first thing in the morning, just step out onto the porch and be like, Yake, Satini, it's good to see you, it's every morning when I get up and go outside. I'm really enjoying that. So thank you. And I don't know what I can offer, but I will show up. Again, thanks.
Conscish, ik echt away. Conscish. ETA. The next one.
No way. Can get you in it.
I guess so. I'm Nawea. What am I supposed to say even? I don't even remember. Nawea Ychatusak Kagwantan na Chatsiti Kukit Yetusak Nakahiti. I'm Nawea. I'm like, what am I supposed to say again? What do I hope to gain? I just want to make sure that I don't stop doing Tlingit stuff over the summer. And then what can I contribute? I don't know. One thing to overcome, I guess, for me, it's like I can understand a lot, but the like productive language is more difficult for me. Like I can understand a verb I don't know from context usually, but like I wouldn't be able to put it together maybe. And then something that inspires me, and where am I at? Oh, I'm in Douglas, Alaska, and something that inspires me is the sun, so maybe it won't be rainy all summer.
Okay, Conscish. We're doing some language with some folks who do public radio, and this guy said, "Well, we're doing weather. This will be great because I could do the weather and can get it on the radio." I said, "Oh, just see you duck with the ton. There, you got it. That's all you need." It's raining. That's all you need to know. But now it's sun shining, so it's sun shining today. So it rained on my joke. Who's next?
Is Chicago?
Yadu Khat. Shaya Udanek I. Cha Adi Ye Khat Nai. Klek Ayach Yak Hwakaye. Ye Kagu Yuchat do a sock. Klek Hwasakur We Shikaknik Ach Sayi dot. Tizante Kahini Ye Khat Yati. Hek nach Khat Uste. Blake Ka Yadich Khat Seti. What I hope to gain, better comprehension. What I hope to contribute, one thing I hope to overcome, my very choppy collegiate accent, my choppy pronunciation. And I know that it comes from reading the words. I need to listen more. Something that inspires me, Yuan, Ganachchish.
Ukecha, Conscish. Okay. Yeah, you did. Adusa Dutuasagu Yukiatani. If anyone hasn't spoken yet, now's a great time. Adusa Uyecha, Naku Wasatin Nashin Kat Ka Kedushunahui Uhan. Chasaku Ka Adusa Techa Ach. What the Katasage? Oh, Gunchish. What's our two you gave Satini? What's the CAT? Okay. Gunchish Hain Kietani. Wait, Idash Katayu Katangiake, ya that in how any yes, Yakusha.
Wasdachnach. Ege.
Oh, we Hakukuda. Kajit let's talk Nacha. I see a hand up. Wasa EML LO9 7160. Kashuk Ka Hage.
Was Charles.
Gunistris the Kion Kau, Gunistris the Katuan. Katina saw you had to us, I think again of Kokisti, Kokatana at Tachlueti at Ki. Ye, Naxiti. Tachlueti at Ki. Gunistris the Katuan, Yake, Ixitini. It's good to see you all here. Gunistris, Ikaya Juan.
Yake. Ganesh Chish. Katina Zach, Achtu Yake, Sachwa Achi, Yayagi. Yeah, well, it's Jake Ginky, think it Rena Requatan. Yeah, that Gashi to a guess a go a Hinu Reatani, think it Rena Quati. Kutyek Kun Taika Generous away. Ihiti Dayeti. Dechage?
Hi, Kajanmuga.
Yeah, we would to a sa. Tash Janmu Aya Sha Shaki. Edachna teach. Ya had hiti daye wuti one panins. Tai ka janwu. Ye awa wutu wasa. A koneo ti awa uwasa. A joe tai ka janwu. Ye
Oh,
awa wasa. Kunsa it hiti daye yeti kwa.
Nisdot talk dech awu. Yidat ku'a huj.
Oh.
Achawaqi has akawa wat. Ajawa klezach tuwa ushgo. Wet.
Ish.
Achawaqi. Akawa wat.
Clash has ushka. Wait. Ha hiti ni yach aya waitu. Chakut hiti. Gwash chishugu aye kuge a ihiti. Du hiti aya. Hechwasa kuho. Awe, chaklakoe du hiti ya nachaya chokuti. Konachawe chwasanich. Tai ka janmu. Ha, konach litsi naya we lichan. Konachawe lichan. Ya kashuk daye jine ha hiti ye wuti. Khana kaunig. Ya hit. Yisukuge. Kunsa taika janwu a ye yeti. Khakha a ye kage a kuk kutsati. Da kun jin kat taika janwu abu. Achia kutwune kunachaya. Sheesh. I thought we'd take a Tlingit pause and speak some Tlingit for a moment. We're talking about goats. Because I've been to Kushik's house before, and I know she had some goats. So I was curious. I said, "How many goats do you have?" And we had to cook up a word for goats because you can't say Junmu because those live in the mountains. It's like the It's the real thing. And so I said, "How many goats?" She said, "Well, I had two, but they broke my window, so I got none now. Don't want them. Broke my window. Broke the window." So I said, "Well, just down the road from my house, you can really smell this just a real strong smell of goats, and real strong, super strong, really stink." And I said an electrician came into my house, and then he just started talking about it because sometimes I walk my dog and I could just smell it. He says, "Yeah, I was in that house right down the road, and it's not a very big house." He said, "You know how many goats are in that house?" I said, "In the house?" He said, "Yeah, there's a basement. They live in the basement." 40 goats. Yeah, well, Josephine, Catherine, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. Kadzasque Yuchet Duasak, Koktan Ayachet. Yeah. That's about as far as I can go right now before I can't remember who was talking earlier where they said that their voice gets shaky when they talk to a lot of people, but same thing happens to me. I'm from Teslin, Yukon. My mother is Shankla Dewhurst. What I hope to gain from this is, honestly, I've been in the workforce for quite a while now, and I haven't been speaking my language a lot, so I feel like I have reduced back to kind of like a beginner from not speaking my language. So I definitely want to go back to what I'm used to from speaking with my mother and what she has taught me. Not sure what I hope to contribute. One thing I hope to overcome is definitely speaking to a large group of people and also speaking to my elders in my language. Like I get really nervous speaking to my elders in my language because I just feel like I'm not speaking properly. So that's one thing. Something that inspires me is my mother, as well as my brother, who's sitting right beside me, right here.
Achtuikeich Satini Stakadion. Takshawech Yukhatusak. Takshaway Dikhat City. Deslin Kwan Ayakhat. Walter Fox Yedu Wasavan Aksayi. I have been working with Khayukhatangi with Khashik Wushte since I could remember. They both were big mentors and big inspirations in my life. We're both here working with our language as often as we can. And I gotta be quite honest, I'm going to be respectfully in and out of this class when I can. I'm just so busy.
Ronan, go away.
But I'm actually happy to be here at this very moment. We got my nephews are running around having some fun right now. But what I hope to gain from this is as much time and experience as I can with all of you, and to learn from all of you who would quite honestly be new to us here in Dhaka in the inland, because myself and Kadzizke here, we're only so much familiar with 6 clans: Kokitan, Ishkitan, Deshitan, Dultóow Yé, Yé, and Ganach. So for us here, we there's much for us to learn for you, Eshkashlingit, the coastal Tlinkits. It's really inspiring already to see as many of you are on this class with my very good friend Khune. I hope I can contribute. I hope I can contribute what it is I think I have to understand of what it means to live Halqistiyin and to work with Khayu Khatangi. One thing you hope to come over. I want to come over this fear that there isn't enough of us speaking, and that already came to change to see how many people are already learning, and it's really, that's something that inspires me there. But maybe we'll end it there.
Yes. Also want to say that we're also sitting here with my sweetheart, Akhjal. How do you say it? Akhjal?
Your husband.
Yes. Akhjal Yeshkada. Yukhatu Asok.
That's about it. That's all I know. Hello, Etsu.
Hey,
Good to see ya.
you too.
All right. Gonna cheese.
Yik echawe. Gulchish. Ya hashayet dehain ayayak. Kayat achtuas guisaku. Chuoya chak. Zisk dugo kutsatian. Chakut ku aha anikate hasuokat. Es yawaka. Ushdachgach tucha shayayata. Dechawe kukwa ikakwasti. Ewa hasakawa ak. Yaltakatakusi. Kahayurkatangi. Achas shulhihi. Kachasa yawadlak koa. Chadu sadu tuasabu. Ya ukki has aus nee ewa hayurkatangi kahakusti. Yewa hayejini tin ya yidat. Wuch in ayagach to ka. Zisk dugu. Ye away shingitani. Kleiki yach away. Klech dacha kudziti washdan ani. Ka washdan kwan ayi ka ginjichan kwan ani. Ayi. Kleik. Just the katat ay shingit ayi. Bash. Hechasagu kun tax away. Teka tak away shuahihin. Shkate. Achit yi he wuti. Do you katangi kakshahit? Ye awa chanakawanik. Chak oe danawak. Ye awa achina kawanik. Agawu aya kakwaha. Chikaki achawe hakakwatis. The cut the eight kashingit katakashingit. Hayu katangi da ye jini to a dachaya ye yeti. Ya yidat. Ye wuti. Hayekakwati. Ach tu yek ya yagi awa. Atlen awa yak ayeti. Atxati atawa hakusti. El chakuti katangi tinaya yagahti tak. Ya wasa hasti tuwasagu aya. Hachaku kaku. Hataku kunkiyan. Yajoyach tuwasagu yisaku. Yijiye yeti awa yidat. Dasa awa anakhas. Haskaudik eat aya. Ya kusket the kate. Yewa atati tuchta tangtsu. Yiyu tangiawa hoach tatke khana kaya khana. Stilqaxati qunnaxawi ide. Yaqutawe tlechwul chish ayaha yuqatangi kekuxlitsini. Yegu kwati qoa. Ya yitati dakhwe chak chakut qu. Kwalhasagaksaku. Wagao awek kustian. Ya tsu aya wudanak. Iltakat ya lingit. Nu yach awe ha ya tibuchin. Kesh asaha yak kwadlak. Achawe ha yukatangi aya. Kunnach awek atutlitzin. Ye awa achtuasagu yisaku has to kake dichs. Has to eat kake dich yisati. Hayatki hadachkankian has kukwatitsu. Atlingun shisho iltakat yuhan. Ye achtuasagu yi yachsakai yata lingitikainach. Kone yanachikaya lingitstutul. Keka away yagachtitlak. One kanin squashakut has a kakwa akishan 2 days has ausene. Keshyagachitlak yatayach. Kaik Keshayach uti. Ichako kaku. Hajich has awati. Klitzin. Kusachan. Tishaan. Achawe chakaya aya ye gachtusene. Yekakwati yuhan. Gilchish. Yekecha gilchish. So I was thinking about a bunch of things as we sort of get this thing rolling. Sometimes I think about it and like these images kind of pop up in my mind. It's like a long time ago, there was this great big moose hide. And some people came here and said, we're going to cut this thing in half. And then they tried. They tried to destroy our culture. They tried to destroy our language. But the work that we're doing here is like we're taking that moose hide and we'll sew that thing back together. Because we live on Tlingit Ani. This is our land. This is our language. And we're not going to succeed with some other language. So just to sort of get us thinking about this kind of success we're looking for is when we can just flow, like a lot of us were talking about. I was really inspired hearing all of your words, all of the things that you all shared with us yesterday, today. And thinking about these things that we need to keep going, to keep moving. It was probably 20 years ago. Jessie Johnny was in my house and she said, Austin Hammond used to tell her, there's a time coming when the coastal Tlingit and the inland Tlingit are going to be united again. And it's going to come through the work around our language. And these are the things that I see taking place now. So as we learn Tlingit, no matter where you're at, we'll just keep taking these steps. Some of you have been on this path a long time. And some of you make me laugh every time because you make this big speech in Tlingit and you'll get done and say, just a beginner. And it's funny. It's so funny. And I'm like, but I understand because it's hard. Because you could do this stuff for 30 years and someone's going to say something and you're like, I don't know. Man, I think I was on the beach in Yakutat. George Ramos walked up to me. He's a tall guy. It's pretty tough. He was tough, man. He was a real tough guy. And he said, Ikwadek, I'm going to challenge you. I said, all right. He said something really hard. I don't even know what it was. I can't remember what it was now. But everything that they left behind is in our hands. The English will plant the seeds of doubt, but we don't have to worry about that. We work together, we support one another, and we are the thing. Together, we're like a fortress. And nothing can defeat us when we have our language. If you look at what our people were like way back in the day, and it's not about being mean, because all these things, these values that come down, love, kindness, respect, I think those get misinterpreted sometimes. But if you stick to it and support each other and just learn with each other and create shift after shift after shift after shift, then pretty soon, like, we'll just be, like, what I'm hoping is there's going to be a time when we'll switch over to English because we need to talk to somebody else. And people are like, we did this in Hawaii, and these people are sitting there and they look at their teachers, they said, man, it's weird for you to speak to me in English. And that's what we're going for. It's an uphill climb, but we're going to make it. And there's all kinds of times where I'll probably just talk to you folks about this. And I'll pause when I'm done speaking. If anybody wants to respond in Tlingit, it's always a good time to do so. But there's no pressure to do so. Sometimes it's good to demonstrate the language in front of folks who are learning. We really have fewer and fewer of that, those opportunities these days. But I learned from a lot of folks that I just had a chance to talk to, and I'm really thankful for the ones who are patient with me and who are still patient with me. I make mistakes every day, but I don't stop because I made a mistake. You know, like if you learn how to ride a bike, I think we brought that one up the other day. Like, well, if you fell off your bike and you say, well, I'll never do that again, then you won't be a biker, right? And so you're gonna make mistakes and it's gonna be fine. And there'll be some times, and we'll figure out some ways to just signal this to the group where we're gonna say, don't correct anybody. And we're not saying like ever, but there will be times when we're trying to really solicit language production, right? That's probably doing this stuff for decades now. That's the hardest, just getting people to talk. This is the hardest thing. And people say some wild stuff to me sometimes. They say, you know what they did to us at the boarding schools? I was like, yeah, I know. And somebody said this to me. This is what you're doing to us right now, trying to make us speak Tlingit. And I said, well, I don't think I agree with you, but I hear what you're saying. I know it's hard because I'm not letting you speak English right now. But I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm not the oppressor in this situation. And so, but you know, there will be times when we're going to sort of say, okay, let's put the English away and let's just speak Tlingit. So don't freak out when those times come. And we're going to give you lots of tools to help, lots of things to guide us through. And we're gonna share some stuff with you folks about like the overall plan of how we're gonna sort of structure our evenings so that we can get into a bit of a rhythm. You know, if you get 40 people together to study Tlingit, everybody's at different levels. Like we really want people to get a lot out of this and then to be motivated and to be able to sort of keep going and not have to just say, that's gonna be great to speak Tlingit again when the next thing comes. No, like do every single day. Every single day. And even if you're just talking you know, you gotta have a dog like Tlaus Tla. She told me she had this dog, Ida Calmegan, and she brought it to get groomed. And she went to pick up her dog, and she said, how'd my dog do? And I said, your dog don't listen to nobody. That's a bad dog. Bad dog. She said, what? And she looked at her dog, she said, Qanu. And it sits down. So her dog only understood Tlingit. So I was like, that's a good dog. That's a great dog. So, you know, find someone to talk to. And so there's a number of different things we're going to try. We talked about base camp last night. So that's a way to stay in touch with each other. We're going to put some links out there. There's a link to this class. It's always live. We're kind of being ready. There's a Tsimshian language group that got the Zoom bomb not too long ago. People jumping on and doing gross stuff. And I don't know why those things happen, but we'll try and be ready if that happens. We might just shut things down real quick and then try and rebuild them up. But for now, we'll try to keep it open, right? But there's another Zoom link that I'll share with you folks that you can use to set up a study group, and these links are always open too. So you could use, the idea is you use the base camp and say, hey, anybody want to chat? And I think you could chat we're trying to figure out like these different technologies too. I know enough to just do a few things.
A virtual campfire.
Yeah, so I think you do it right in base camp, right? Oh. The other thing is there's going to be a blog page for our class. So there you'll find there's a bunch of resources that we recommend everybody get. We'll talk about those. There's a bunch of things that we recommend that you check out. We're going to record these classes, post them on YouTube, link to them in this blog. On the blog, you can also find a whole bunch of recordings of classes, speakers, all kinds of stuff. Ida, anything to add, or should we walk them through the syllabus?
I think so. Do you want me to share it?
Can you turn the spelling off so we don't get those red lines? Okay. Okay. So there's a few phrases kind of at the beginning, and yeah, gonna cheese for the dog commands. I'm gonna find a picture of this dog named Sebastian. And Kuchek, maybe you know the history of Sebastian. I don't even remember where I found that thing.
It's a lesson. It's like a school thing. And then so I don't know if it was me or somebody else thought of doing it, but we changed the little the title under each picture into Tlingit. It was just a fun thing to do.
Okay. And then I'm loading one up that's called dog verbs. And there's a little, you ever see that one? There's that little dog, Sebastian. Yeah. Maybe I got that from you. Maybe it's the same thing. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. So there's a syllabus for this. If you're taking the class for credit, it's a 3-credit class. If you're taking the non-credit one, we're trying to create the situation where the 0-credit options are just like free. And it's kind of a headache because the university doesn't know how to just give things away. But yeah, it's understandable because the university is going through like a bunch of budget stuff. However, I do believe, and we're still figuring it out, so even though I'm being recorded, I'll deny this in a court of law if it falls apart. I believe Douglas Indian Association has generously stepped forward to sponsor the entire 0-credit portion, so we think it's going to be free for everybody. And we're trying to figure out like the long-term solution is like, hey, if people want credit to learn Tlingit, we'll have tuition and scholarships. But if people want to just be here to learn it and to use it, like that's going to be just totally free. We haven't figured it out yet, but I think we're going to figure between like all of our partner agencies and just the history. Like, I just want to send this bill to colonization. Dear colonization, here's the bill. But we'll see. I haven't figured out who to send that to. I guess like Andrew Jackson or who's that guy? Richard Pratt. So maybe I'll just send it to them. Anyways, but for now, There's the link. So this is the link to get to the class. This is also the same link that I use for my intermediate and advanced Tlingit classes. We are meeting 5:30 to 8 every day of the week for 3 weeks. If you need to contact us,
Except Memorial Day.
except for Memorial Day, sheesh.
So for our Canadian folks, I don't know if Memorial Day is the same, but that's May 31st. We won't be meeting.
Okay, sheesh. Let's see. Then there's some just some great. Oh, I guess we have office. Do we have office hours generally?
Russia.
I don't think we might set specific office hours, but if you folks want to set up times to visit with us, specific things, let us know. I would kind of rather that there's these just sort of standard study times if you guys want to set that up, or we can do some Q. If you want to do some smaller group stuff, like if you get real nervous speaking in front of 50 people, which is totally understandable, we could set up times to just chat. And if you have specific concerns, questions, I really like the language questions to be in front of the whole group. However, if you're shy about asking a question, you can always email us, and then we won't say, hey, so and so wanted to know. We'll just say, hey, you know what? We got this question. We're gonna answer this question. You can also send us private chats, so no one sees who this is coming from. If you're shy about asking the question, you think it's a silly question, just ask it, because someone else is probably thinking the same thing. Then there's some just inspirational words on here. I want to just go over the translations real quick. Let me say these and then I'll ask someone else to translate for them. The first one is Shakshani. Oops, it says Qanachtiri. She's Ishkitan, so I got that wrong. There must be some kind of system error with my computer.
Those clans are related though.
Yeah, oh what? And she said, "Akach kunay sagao hayukatangi. Kunach akach kunay sagao. Hechtasa ayachkuke hayukatangi." Anybody want to translate that for us?
Fight for our language.
Yeah, well. Fight for it. Our language. Really fight for it. But the next part. Hechtasa ayachkuke hayukatangi.
Nothing is as big as our language.
Yeah, well. Sheesh. Qar'atk. Chakdach. Hatachkan hakena keutusanuk. Can we get a translation for that?
We always hold up our grandchildren.
Yeah, or from long ago, from ancient times.
Oh yeah, long ago.
Okay. And that's Charlie Joseph, who's Kagwantan. Kachta Kashu, who's also Kagwantan. Eyuchatangi yakayilkati. Ikusti ukkekwati. Shakao ishi tu I guess go kakayiniki.
Yuqaqta kashu arike. Oh, Yocha tinyata. I recognize this one. Yuqatangi yaqiyilqati. Forget your language. Iqustiyi uqkikwati. Your life will spiral out of control.
Sheesh. I asked him because he helped me to write that one down. We were at a clan conference like a decade ago. I can't remember. And he said that to me. I said, can I record that? And he was eating like fish and crackers. So he had this mouthful of crackers, and it's really funny. But it's such a great phrase. It's such a great phrase. If you forget your language, your life will spin out of control. And then just tisha on it take two ye. It take two ye. No, I forgot a word. There should be two right after take. Oh, two, T high toned. Oh. High toned O. Gunchish. And can I get anyone want to translate that one?
Only love and kindness you should be holding in your heart, or
Yeah.
and
just put those in your heart.
Put those.
Okay. So some of the text here is just really inviting you to participate. 3 weeks can go by pretty fast, and if you're listening is great, but we encourage you to talk as well. And we're just going to continue to emphasize this is a safe space. I've seen people get yelled at in class learning Tlingit. I've seen people get shut down. I've seen all kinds of stuff. Learning a language is hard, and learning an indigenous language is hard, and decolonizing is hard, and sometimes people are just rough with each other. We're going to try and be real nice. We're trying to be real kind. We're not going to give the tough treatment to anyone in here. And if we do, we're going to try and repair anything that might happen. Yewa hatuwasuku joya watuqan ha inxati. Yaquqan qusti itch kunach awik kauduye. So we're just going to act like there's a peacemaker among us. Sometimes right after the peacemaking ceremony, everything is calm. That's what we're going for. The stakes are high, the pressure's there, there's all kinds of stuff that gets tangled up in identity and loss and trauma. And you know what? We're just here to learn the language, use the language, have fun, be with each other, build something that's that dream that our ancestors had for their grandchildren. And so we're going to try. We're also going to do some things to try and break it up too. So we're going to break into small groups, especially we're just sort of just getting this thing going. So we're going to break you guys into smaller groups. And those of you who've been studying Tlingit for a while, we're probably going to lean on you to be some group leaders so that we can sort of bust out into these smaller groups and work on some things that maybe you've done before, and then work on some things that maybe you just figured out recently. And so that way there's some environments where it's not like it doesn't feel like you're standing up and saying something in front of a whole Zoom full of people, I guess. And then, yeah, there'll be times too where we're just trying to just shift it up a little bit, and let us know if you have ideas as well. There's some really important words that we're going to look at here from Shkateh, and so we'll save those for later. But I'll give a little context to that when we get to the recording, and I might sign off a little early and go celebrate birthday with my kiddos. Some texts that you should absolutely have, beginning Tlingit by Kechne and Huayinak, Tlingit Chinachsa by the same authors, and also Kuch, Johnny Marks. The Dictionary of Tlingit by Carrie Edwards, who's now Carrie Eggleston. The Tlingit Verb Dictionary by Gillian Story and Constance Nash. Hashishkohas Ani Sahu, Place Name Book by Tom Thornton. We're going to use the Beginning Tlingit Workbook, which is forever in draft form for the second edition. Let's see. Oh yeah, if you see the yellow verb book out there, like the physical book, and you can find it for like less than 20 bucks, and if you can afford it, just buy it. They're out of print. Sometimes they'll circulate for like $100 or something. Like, just don't even get that. But it was like 20 bucks, 10 bucks. Just buy them, stock them up, give them to people who are learning. It's nice to have them. They're digital as well, so. Hausanech Hayukatangi is a grammar for Tlingit. We'll take a look at that one as well. Tlingitlanguage.com has a whole bunch of recordings, resources, every book that's up above, and probably everything. I'll put a link into the chat. If you know people who are into copyright, maybe don't tell them that I shared all of this stuff with you, but I don't know. I'm not really big on people owning material that's in our language, just in terms of like people who say you can't use that without our permission or whatever. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of open use. So I just put in the chat a link to a Google folder that has everything I've ever found for Tlingit. If you have stuff that's not in there that you want to share, let me know. It's a whole bunch of videos. There's some other stuff too that I can share as we keep going, because I just want you to have this stuff at your fingertips. Download it all on your computer, your phones, your tablets, whatever. The SHI has language resources. Goldblit Heritage Foundation has language resources. The Yakutat Tlingit tribe has an app that's really like wonderful. It's huge. It's got all kinds of stories, all kinds of stuff on there. There's a verb database by Carrie Eggleston. That's amazing. So the link to it is right there. And so we're just going to sort of, don't worry about the outcomes. Everyone's going to have different outcomes. I forgot to update that part. As long as you come all the time, if you're taking this class for credit, here's the inside scoop. If you show up and you just try, you'll do just fine. I don't grade people based on their language abilities. I don't think that's a good idea. But if you don't come and you don't like participate, then what are we gonna do? You got to show up and you got to try it. Yeah. So like grading and language learning are just weird things. I just say, like, as long as you just come and you just try it out, everyone will you'll just do great. I'm not trying to make it like an easy A or anything, and like something you could just be kind of lazy about. One time we were doing like sharing feelings, and someone said "chut with the chut," which is "I'm tired." There was an elder there, and he said, "When you say it like it really is, "Uchtaka," which is "I'm lazy." So, I'm not trying to encourage laziness, but I just think, you know what, give it your best, you'll do fine. What we need to focus on is getting everybody climbing up the fluency ladder and not tying that to some sort of academic performance. If you are taking the course, there's some important legal information dealing with the University of Alaska. You have an opportunity to assess this course, I think whether you're in the 0 credit or the 4 credit section. That's important, especially if you want to say like, this was great, or if you want to say, you know what could be better, is this kind of thing. That helps. That helps us to design future classes. And that goes into when they assess like whether we should keep doing this kind of stuff or not. It's illegal to discriminate at the University of Alaska. That shouldn't happen here or anywhere you're taking a class through UAS. If you have if you need some assistance with learning, if you need some assistance with counseling, if you need some assistance with anything, if you are paying tuition and the fees, you have the ability to access a whole network of connections through the University of Alaska that can help you, and all that information is included in the syllabus. These classes are recorded. You can watch them again. If you think we're going too fast, or if you want us to put something, say, could you write that down? Because we can't write down everything we say if we're just sort of really flowing, but if we're sort of talking about a concept, it's pretty common that I might forget to write it down. And so just throw it in the chat. We'll keep an eye on the chat. And if you say, hey, could you write that one down? Then we'll do our best to do so. Title 9 is a lot about misconduct. So if, I guess I like to start talking about Title 9 by saying, don't harass people. Don't sexually harass people. Don't assault people. Don't stalk people. Don't do any of that kind of thing. And if you experience any of that, you have resources that are here to protect you and your path to success as a student. However, if you reached out to us or you said something at any time during class, if you met with us during office hours, and if we found out that there was some form of domestic violence or harassment of any kind that falls under Title IX, we are obligated to report that to try and get you assistance. So if you do need any help with anything in these sort of regards, feel free to reach out. We're here to make sure that you have a path to success and that that path is not inhibited by these types of behaviors. So, what are we going to do? Our thought was basically every evening we would start off by probably speaking a little bit of Tlingit, whoever wants to just talk for a little bit. Then we're going to move into some beginning Tlingit lessons. We're going to try and do like about a 20-minute lesson. So we're going to kind of smash through it kind of fast. And we're going to kind of start at the beginning. And then we'll break into groups and we'll have some activities for folks to work on in a smaller group to try and, if you're new to learning Tlingit, then you can learn some stuff from folks who've already gone through this type of stuff. If you know this stuff, then here's your chance to share your knowledge with someone else. Then we're going to come back, and then we'll come back into the large group, share a little bit, talk about if anyone wants to talk about what they did in their smaller group, share some stuff, talk about some of these concepts a little bit more. We got lots of language teachers who are here, which is fabulous. Then we'll take a break, come back, we'll do some stuff that's a little bit more intermediate and advanced stuff in terms of lessons. Do the same thing, do a little breakout, have a little activity, come back, reflect on it, then take a break. And then we're going to close every evening with just conversation. So what we're going to try to do is with the folks that we have here who can speak is to just practice engaging in conversation and then practice also just sort of modeling the language in front of folks. There's going to be times where we try to invite some other folks in. If you know speakers who want to come visit with us, those are wonderful times to visit. For the 3 Fridays that we have, we want to just have language sharing. Whatever if you're just sort of just sharing a little bit, I learned how to say my name in Tlingit and say what my name is. Share that with us. That's a chance for us to just hear you using the language. During those language sharing times, and also where it says wuchi nyuchatki, conversing, we're going to ask that people not correct anybody during those times. I know for some of us, like, we're just anxious to like, oh, that's a different pronoun. Oh, that's said a little differently. Oh, there's the tone right there. But we're going to say, let's not, unless anybody asks for it, we're just going to practice letting it go, which I know is hard to do, but I do think it's important to have these spaces where, because there's been times where I start talking, especially when I was early in my learning, and someone would just shut me down. And I don't think they meant to, but they would just say something like I was just in the middle, like saying some heartfelt kind of thing, and and I understand we want to get the language right, but I also understand like it's very hard to get people to talk, and so we don't want to just inadvertently shut them down. And then we're going to do some storytelling on Fridays, and we're also going to give you all a chance to give us some feedback. How's it going? What do you need? What's gonna help? What you mad about? And what you happy about? That's kind of the plan. Anyone want to give feedback on any of that? Okay, goodness cheesh. So before we take our break, and I'll probably sign off for tonight, and I got a thing to do tomorrow. So there'll be times when I won't be here, and it'll be Ida will be driving the boat, and then there'll be times where Ida will get a break, and I'll be just driving the boat. And those of you who are the advanced learners and teachers, help us out. But I want to preface, because you guys are going to take a break and come back and look at this video by Shkate, Jesse Johnny. And Jesse Johnny was one of my main teachers of Tlingit. I first met her shortly after I first met Ida Kalmigan. I met Ida Kalmigan in 1999 in Whitehorse when they used to have this thing called the Commissioner's Potlatch. I had a t-shirt from it. She had a little booth set up, and she had this booth, and she was talking about like traditional medicines. I was very interested in it, and I went and talked to her. And then when we started talking, she said, of course, like, who's your family? And I was like, oh, my grandpa's Cy Dennis, my great grandpa's Bert Dennis. And she said, that's my uncle. He used to come up and teach us. And then we just connected. And then so we brought her down to Skagway, and we brought Jesse Johnny over, who was involved with the Kayani Commission, I think, in Sitka. And then they met each other, and then we all started visiting. And Jesse taught me a lot of stuff about Tlingit. We'd call each other on the phone, we'd just interact with each other a lot. And then I went through a phase where I just didn't talk to her for a few years. I was up in Fairbanks, and I wasn't making it back here very much, and lost connection with some people. And so our first child was born. It was a baby. So we went over to Sitka, and we went to visit Jessie, and she was always so fun. One time I went to visit her at a pioneer home in Sitka, and we were just visiting, speaking Tlingit, speaking English. And then I left, and these other elderly ladies came up, and they said, who was that? Who came to see you? Who was that? And she said, that's my boyfriend. And so she was just so much fun. She was so much fun. But the last time I went to visit her, she was bedridden by that point. She wasn't doing that well. And I brought this little recorder. I wasn't doing video recordings at that time. And I just said, what do language learners need to hear to stay inspired, to feel like they can do it? And there's a bunch of speakers, I asked them that question. Or the other question I like to ask them is I would say, Da saito wasaku, itachhankiyan, hasagaksaku, kwashain ki nigi, akakakta ak, hasu idekachtullatu. What do you want your grandchildren to know? If you tell us, we'll try to teach them. And it would just really open the floodgates to things that they want to share. So you guys are going to look at that video, talk about it a little bit, maybe do a few things on pronunciation and sound, and I'll catch up with you folks on the Thursday class. So, kun minute say to us go sai. Jinkatake. Take 10 minutes and reconvene 10 minutes from right now. Sheesh.
Goodness cheese, Connie, goodness cheese, and the guy on Julia Constantine is the